Imagine this. You wake up in the morning, and before the day has a chance to decide how you'll feel, you've already decided for yourself. That's what it means to start your day with intention. Most people roll out of bed, check their phone, and immediately let the world dictate their emotional state. A message, a news headline, a distraction, suddenly their mood is not their own. Jim Rohn used to say, either you run the day, or the day runs you. And that's not just a nice saying, it's a principle that shapes the entire trajectory of your life. When you begin each morning with purpose, you're declaring ownership over your time and your mind. You're telling the world, I am in charge here. It doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't need a 2-hour ritual or an expensive morning routine. It starts with small acts, habits that are simple but powerful enough to shift the direction of your entire life. The first step is awareness. Before you do anything, pause. Sit for a moment in silence. Feel your breath. Look around and recognize that this new day is a gift, a blank page waiting for your story. Gratitude is not just about saying, thank you. It's about aligning your thoughts with abundance rather than lack. When you begin the day acknowledging what you already have, your mind becomes calm, open, and creative. It's nearly impossible to feel fearful or resentful while you're truly grateful. Next, set a clear intention. Don't let your day unfold by accident. Ask yourself, what do I want to accomplish today? Who do I want to be today? These questions activate your higher mind. They move you from passive existence to conscious living. Jim Rohn believed that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your questions. Weak questions produce weak days. Strong, purposeful questions create momentum. Here's a small habit that works wonders. Every morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for and 1 meaningful goal for the day. Not 10, not 20, just 1. That goal becomes your compass. You might be surprised how much clarity this brings. When you know your direction, distractions lose their power. You stop reacting to every noise and start responding to what matters. The truth is, how you begin your morning sets the vibration for everything that follows. A person who starts the day hurried and scattered tends to carry that same energy into every conversation, every decision, every thought. But someone who starts the day centered and deliberate creates a ripple of calm productivity that influences everything they touch. Think of the morning as the seedbed of your destiny. Whatever you plant there, gratitude, discipline, purpose will grow throughout the day. If you plant confusion, you'll harvest frustration. If you plant clarity, you'll harvest results. Life operates on these subtle psychological laws, and the earlier you master them, the sooner you'll see transformation. Another essential part of starting your day with intention is how you speak to yourself. Your internal dialogue shapes your confidence and energy long before the world does. Most people wake up and immediately start rehearsing their worries. I'm tired. I have too much to do. I can't handle this. That's not a routine. That's self-sabotage. Instead, begin your morning with empowering language. Tell yourself, I am capable. I am focused. I am grateful for this new opportunity. It may sound simple, even trivial, but over time, these affirmations reshape your mindset. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between truth and repetition. It believes what you consistently tell it. Jim Rohn often reminded us that success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. The habit of intentional mornings is one of those disciplines. You may not see the change after 1 day or 1 week, but give it time. Compound effort works silently. Each day you wake up and take ownership of your mindset, you strengthen the muscle of self-leadership. There's a deeper philosophy behind this too. Starting your day with intention is a spiritual act of self-respect. It's a declaration that your life is worth designing, not just enduring. It's a reminder that you are not a victim of circumstance, but a creator of possibility. By setting the tone of your day, you begin to realize how much influence you truly have over your emotions, productivity, and destiny. And remember, your mornings are not about perfection, they're about direction. You don't need to meditate for an hour or read 3 chapters before breakfast. Just wake up with awareness. Decide who you want to be today. Move through your morning with purpose. Because in the end, success doesn't come from massive moments. It comes from small, consistent habits done with intention. Every sunrise brings a choice. To drift through another day or to direct it. Choose to direct it. Choose to lead yourself. The way you start your day is the way you live your life. And if you master your mornings, you'll master everything that follows. Reading and learning daily might sound simple, even obvious, but it's one of the most transformative habits you can ever build. Jim Rohn often said, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. And he meant more than financial wealth. He was talking about the wealth of wisdom, awareness, and insight that comes from deliberately feeding your mind with knowledge. Because the truth is, success doesn't just happen. It grows out of understanding, and understanding grows out of learning. Every great thinker, every great leader, every high achiever shares this one trait. They are relentless learners. They don't just consume information, they seek insight. They read not for entertainment, but for elevation. They know that one new idea, one fresh perspective, can completely change the trajectory of their lives. Jim Rohn used to remind his audiences, don't just read easy books. You might be entertained, but you won't grow. Growth begins where comfort ends, even in reading. Now, here's the problem most people face. They underestimate the power of small, consistent learning. They think they need hours every day to read, so they read nothing. But the compound effect of reading even 10 pages a day is extraordinary. That's one book a month, 12 a year, and hundreds over a decade. Imagine how much sharper your mind would be, how much broader your vision if you simply made learning a non-negotiable daily ritual. The mind is a muscle. It strengthens through use and weakens through neglect. If you don't deliberately stretch it, it shrinks to the size of your comfort zone. Reading and learning are the resistance training of the mind. They keep you flexible, curious, and alert. When you study daily, even for a short time, you're conditioning your thinking to rise above mediocrity. You start seeing patterns others miss, opportunities others overlook, and solutions others can't even imagine. Jim Rohn believed that life is about becoming more valuable. And you become more valuable when you know more, when you understand more, when you can think more deeply about the world around you. Every book you read adds another layer to your perspective, another dimension to your decision-making. You start making choices based not on impulse, but on wisdom. And that difference between reacting emotionally and responding intelligently can completely alter the course of your life. But reading is only one part of the habit. The real transformation comes when you apply what you learn. Knowledge without action is wasted potential. You must convert ideas into behavior. After you read something powerful, stop and ask, how can I use this today? Jim Rohn would often pause during his talks and challenge his listeners. Don't let your learning lead to knowledge. Let your learning lead to action. Because reading without applying is like collecting tools but never building anything. If you want to develop this habit, start small and stay consistent. Choose books that challenge you. Philosophy, psychology, personal growth, biographies of great minds. Listen to lectures, podcasts, or audiobooks while commuting. Make learning a part of your lifestyle, not an occasional task. Turn idle moments into opportunities to grow. The world is full of distraction, but it's also full of wisdom for those who seek it deliberately. And here's another truth. Learning is not just about absorbing ideas from others. It's also about reflecting on your own experiences. Each day, life gives you lessons disguised as problems, delays, or disappointments. If you take the time to analyze them, to understand their meaning, you become wiser. Reading fills your mind with ideas, but reflection gives those ideas roots. Together, they create wisdom. When you develop the habit of daily learning, you start living on a different frequency. You walk through life with clarity instead of confusion, confidence instead of doubt. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and start becoming a master of them. Because knowledge gives you options. Options to think differently, to act decisively, to rise above the noise. And perhaps most importantly, learning keeps you humble. The more you know, the more you realize how much there still is to discover. That humility keeps your curiosity alive, and curiosity is the foundation of all growth. The day you stop learning is the day you stop evolving. So make reading and learning as natural as breathing. Carry a book with you. Write notes. Highlight passages that move you. Discuss ideas with others. Let your mind be a garden that's constantly cultivated, never left untended. Because the greatest investment you can ever make is not in money, not in property, not in status. It's in yourself. And that investment begins with what you put into your mind each day. Jim Rohn once said, if you want to have more, you have to become more. And the simplest, surest way to become more is to learn more. So pick up a book, open your mind, and let every page move you one step closer to the person you were meant to become. Discipline. The word itself carries weight. It's not glamorous, it's not easy, and it doesn't always feel good. But Jim Rohn called it the bridge between goals and accomplishment. And he was right. Discipline is the invisible force that separates those who wish for change from those who create it. Without it, dreams remain fantasies. With it, they become inevitable. When we talk about discipline, we're not talking about punishment or rigidity. We're talking about self-respect in action. The daily choice to do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Every time you act with discipline, you reinforce your identity as someone who is in control, someone who leads themselves. And that's where all lasting success begins, with self-leadership. Discipline doesn't appear overnight. It's built in small, quiet moments when no one is watching. It's in the decision to wake up when your alarm rings instead of hitting snooze. It's in the choice to go for that run, to save that bit of money, to make that call, to read that book, to keep your word. Each small act of discipline seems insignificant in isolation, but together they form the architecture of a strong and stable life. Jim Rohn used to say, we must all suffer one of two things, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is that discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. You can't escape difficulty. You can only choose the kind that builds you instead of the kind that breaks you. The disciplined person learns to embrace short-term discomfort in exchange for long-term satisfaction. They understand that every sacrifice made in the service of growth multiplies into future freedom. The psychology behind discipline is fascinating. The human brain craves consistency and certainty. When you repeat an action long enough, it becomes automatic. This is both the trap and the opportunity. If your daily habits are lazy, your brain will automate laziness. But if your daily habits are disciplined, your brain will automate success. You won't need to fight yourself every morning because your behavior will align naturally with your identity. That's why the secret to discipline isn't willpower. It's environment and momentum. Willpower is a muscle that fatigues, but structure sustains you. Create systems that make success easy and failure hard. Prepare your gym clothes the night before. Keep your phone away from your bed. Block distracting apps. Set up your world so that your desired actions become the path of least resistance. Discipline thrives not just on strength, but on strategy. Here's another truth: discipline is freedom disguised as effort. Most people think freedom means doing whatever they want, whenever they want. But that kind of freedom leads to chaos, unpaid bills, broken health, missed opportunities. True freedom comes from structure. When you discipline your habits, your finances, your emotions, your time, you gain control. You move through life with clarity instead of confusion. You stop reacting and start directing. Jim Rohn often compared discipline to a muscle. It grows only through use. The first few repetitions hurt, but soon they become familiar, even empowering. Discipline becomes less about forcing yourself and more about aligning yourself. You start to crave the feeling of consistency, the quiet confidence of knowing you can rely on yourself. That's the real reward. Not applause, not recognition, but self-trust. And there's something deeply philosophical about this. Discipline is the art of mastering the self. It's saying, I am greater than my impulses. I am stronger than my moods. It's the practice of rising above the primitive mind that seeks comfort and choosing the higher mind that seeks growth. When you practice discipline, you are, in essence, becoming your own teacher, your own guide, your own hero. The difference between average and exceptional people isn't intelligence or luck. It's discipline. The average person acts when it's convenient. The exceptional person acts when it's necessary. The average person looks for motivation. The exceptional one builds momentum. Discipline turns potential into power because it gives form to your purpose. So if you want to transform your life, don't start by overhauling everything at once. Start small. Set one new standard and hold yourself to it. Keep your promises to yourself. Each time you do, you strengthen your confidence and your credibility. Over time, this compounds into unstoppable momentum. And understand this, discipline isn't about perfection. You'll slip, you'll falter, you'll have days when you don't follow through. But discipline means coming back anyway. It's the return that matters. Every time you recommit, you rewire your identity as someone who doesn't quit on themselves. Jim Rohn's entire philosophy can be summed up in one idea. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Not one day, not someday, every day. Consistency is the multiplier of greatness. So make discipline your ally. Train your mind to do what your heart knows is right. Build routines that strengthen your resolve. Because once you've mastered yourself, there is nothing in this world you cannot master. Discipline is the silent architect of destiny, and every choice you make is another brick in the foundation of the life you're building. There's a powerful truth Jim Rohn taught that continues to echo across generations. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It sounds simple, but it's one of the most profound ideas you'll ever apply to your life. The people around you are not neutral. They either pull you upward or drag you downward. They shape how you think, how you act, and ultimately who you become. Human beings are social creatures by nature. We absorb attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors almost unconsciously from those around us. Spend enough time with dreamers and you'll start thinking in possibilities. Spend enough time with complainers and you'll start seeing only obstacles. Every conversation, every shared thought, every subtle emotional exchange is either strengthening or weakening your mindset. You cannot outgrow your environment. You must redesign it. That's why surrounding yourself with growth-minded people isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. If your goal is to change your life, you have to change your circle. You have to align yourself with those who challenge you to rise higher, who inspire you to act with discipline, and who remind you that your potential is limitless. These people don't let you settle for less than your best. They see the greatness in you even when you've forgotten it yourself. Jim Rohn believed that association is a form of education. Every person you allow into your life is a teacher. Some teach you through inspiration, others through caution. Both have value, but you must be intentional about who occupies your inner circle. Spend more time with those who reflect the future you want, not the past you've outgrown. If you surround yourself with individuals committed to learning, discipline, and purpose, you'll naturally start to reflect those same values. But this doesn't mean cutting people off coldly or arrogantly. It means adjusting the level of influence they have over your decisions and mindset. You can still care for old friends without allowing their negativity to define your standards. You can love people from a distance while keeping your energy focused on those who lift you higher. Protecting your environment isn't selfish, it's strategic. Think of your circle as a garden. Every relationship is a seed. Some grow into trees that bear fruit for years, while others choke the soil with weeds. You can't expect your garden to flourish if you never pull the weeds or plant new seeds. The quality of your relationships determines the quality of your growth. And it's not only about receiving inspiration, it's also about giving it. Jim Rohn often reminded his listeners that the best way to attract success is to become a person of value. Don't just seek mentors and peers who motivate you. Become the kind of person who motivates others. Share your knowledge. Offer encouragement. Live your principles so visibly that others are inspired by your example. When you give value, you attract value. When you elevate others, you elevate yourself. There's also a psychological principle at work here: social proof. We tend to mirror the behavior of those we admire or associate with. If you regularly interact with people who are disciplined, curious, and ambitious, you'll unconsciously raise your standards to match theirs. You'll start thinking, speaking, and acting differently. It's not forced, it's absorbed. That's why one of the fastest ways to change your life is to change your associations. Find people who make you uncomfortable, in a good way. People whose success, wisdom, or consistency forces you to level up. Instead of feeling intimidated by them, let their presence expand your sense of what's possible. Let their discipline remind you what's required. Growth happens not in comfort, but in proximity to greatness. You don't need dozens of people. Even one person with the right mindset can alter your direction. Seek mentors, even if only through books, speeches, or recordings. Jim Rohn himself mentored millions who never met him in person. He used to say, "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better." Being around the right people will make you better because they expect better from you. And sometimes, the hardest part of growth is realizing that not everyone will come with you. As you evolve, your energy shifts, and not everyone will resonate with your new frequency. That's okay. Growth requires release. You can be grateful for the role someone played in your life and still move forward without them. Letting go of relationships that no longer serve your higher purpose is not betrayal. It's maturity. The people you surround yourself with determine your emotional climate, your intellectual temperature, and your spiritual growth. They influence what you believe you deserve and what you believe is possible. Choose your circle as carefully as you choose your goals. So ask yourself, who are your five? Who are the voices shaping your thoughts, the habits influencing your behavior, the energy defining your days? Because the truth is, if you walk with greatness, you can't help but become great. Surround yourself with those who see the fire in you and refuse to let it die. Because in the end, your circle doesn't just reflect your future, it creates it. Jim Rohn once said, "Don't just let life happen to you, design it." And one of the simplest, most powerful ways to design your life is through the habit of keeping a journal. Not just any journal, but a record of your thoughts, lessons, and progress. Because here's the truth: experience alone doesn't make you wiser. Evaluated experience does. Without reflection, life rushes past in a blur of motion. But when you take time to write, to examine, to understand, you transform moments into meaning and activity into awareness. Journaling is not about keeping a diary of events. It's about documenting your evolution. It's a private conversation with yourself, a mirror for the mind. In a world overflowing with noise, it's a space of silence where you can hear your own thoughts clearly. Jim Rohn believed that journaling was one of the greatest disciplines a person could develop because it connects the external world of action with the internal world of insight. Every day brings lessons, some small, some profound. Most people experience them but never capture them. They repeat the same mistakes, overlook the same opportunities, and wonder why their growth feels stagnant. But those who write things down, what worked, what didn't, what they felt, what they learned, begin to see patterns. They start recognizing how their habits, attitudes, and emotions interact to shape their results. A journal becomes a map of the mind, a record of where you've been, how far you've come, and where you still need to go. Start simply. At the end of the day, take 10 minutes to write 3 things: what you accomplished, what you learned, and what you're grateful for. That's it. Over time, those 10 minutes will become the most valuable part of your day. You'll start noticing subtle shifts, how your thoughts evolve, how your priorities change, how your self-awareness deepens. You'll begin to connect cause and effect in your life. You'll see that certain attitudes bring peace, while others create struggle. This awareness is what separates those who drift from those who direct. Jim Rohn often said, "Don't trust your memory. When you get an idea, capture it. Inspiration is fragile. A single good idea can change your life, but only if you hold on to it long enough to use it. How many times have you had a thought, a realization, a flash of clarity, and then lost it to the chaos of the day? A journal protects your wisdom from the erosion of time. It preserves the gold dust of your experiences. There's also a psychological power to writing. The act of putting thoughts into words turns the abstract into the concrete. It takes emotions that feel chaotic and gives them structure. When you write about your fears, they shrink. When you write about your dreams, they become tangible. The page doesn't judge, it simply reflects. And through that reflection, you begin to understand yourself better. Over time, your journal becomes more than a record. It becomes a teacher. On days when you feel lost or unmotivated, you can look back and see how far you've come. You'll see seasons of growth you once didn't recognize. You'll find evidence of strength you forgot you had. That's one of the great gifts of journaling. It reveals your progress long before the world notices it. And there's another layer of wisdom here. Journaling teaches you patience. You begin to see that transformation is not a single leap, but a series of steps, small, steady, often unseen. As you record your days, you start appreciating the process as much as the result. You realize that every struggle had its purpose, every delay its lesson. You stop rushing toward the destination and start respecting the journey. Jim Rohn's teachings were always about awareness, about thinking deeply, questioning habits, and observing results. Journaling embodies all of that. It's where reflection meets accountability. It's where discipline meets creativity. And it's where ideas mature into wisdom. If you want to elevate your mind, your work, your relationships, start with a pen and paper. Don't worry about perfection. Your journal isn't for performance, it's for clarity. Write freely. Be honest. Record not just what happened, but what you felt and understood. Let your words become the evidence of your becoming. In time, you'll look back and realize that your journal isn't just a record of your life. It is your life, captured in real time through the lens of growth. It's a conversation between who you were and who you're becoming. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson Jim Rohn wanted us to grasp. Success is not accidental, it's intentional. It's crafted, examined, refined. And a journal is one of the finest tools for that craftsmanship. So write it down. Capture your life as you live it, because what you don't record, you forget. And what you forget, you can't improve. Jim Rohn once reminded his audiences that take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. Those few words carry a lifetime of wisdom. Because no matter how grand your goals, how ambitious your vision, or how disciplined your habits, none of it matters if you don't have the energy and vitality to sustain it. Success requires stamina. Purpose requires presence. And presence begins with your health. Most people think of health as a physical concern, something to worry about only when things go wrong. But in truth, health is the foundation of every other form of wealth. It's not just about avoiding illness. It's about cultivating the energy, focus, and emotional balance that allow you to live fully. Without energy, discipline fades. Without clarity, learning becomes dull. Without vitality, even success feels hollow. Jim Rohn believed that a successful life must be built on three pillars: philosophy, discipline, and vitality. And vitality doesn't come by chance. It's the byproduct of intentional, consistent habits practiced daily. Small things, done consistently, make the difference: drinking more water, walking instead of scrolling, eating foods that fuel rather than drain, sleeping with respect for tomorrow. None of these habits are dramatic, but together they determine the quality of your days. Your body is a reflection of your priorities. If you neglect it, you send a message to your subconscious that your future isn't worth protecting. But when you care for it, when you exercise, rest, and nourish yourself, you're sending the opposite message: I respect my life enough to sustain it. That mindset shift changes everything. Health becomes an act of self-leadership. The psychological connection between body and mind is undeniable. When you move your body, you energize your thoughts. When you eat clean, your emotions stabilize. When you rest deeply, your creativity flourishes. Physical wellness doesn't just improve how you feel. It sharpens how you think, decide, and perform. The quality of your energy determines the quality of your results. Jim often said that success is about doing a few simple disciplines practiced every day. The same applies to health. You don't need an extreme lifestyle. You need consistent habits. 10 minutes of stretching, a brisk walk in the morning, turning off the screen an hour before bed, drinking a full glass of water when you wake up. These small actions might seem trivial, but over time, they accumulate into extraordinary strength. The body thrives on rhythm, and once that rhythm becomes part of your daily design, you begin to feel a quiet power building within you. But caring for your health isn't just physical, it's emotional and mental too. Stress is one of the silent destroyers of vitality. It clouds the mind and weakens the immune system. That's why reflection, gratitude, and calm are as essential to health as food and exercise. Take time to breathe deeply, to disconnect, to sit in stillness. Your nervous system needs recovery just as your muscles do. The more peaceful your inner world, the more powerful your outer actions. There's also a moral dimension to this. When you neglect your health, you rob yourself and others of your best self. You can't inspire, lead, or serve at your highest level if you're running on empty. But when you show up each day strong, alert, and balanced, you multiply your capacity to give. Health isn't selfish, it's service. It allows you to show up fully for your purpose, your work, and the people who depend on you. Think of it this way: your health is not separate from your success, it is your success. The body is the vehicle that carries the mind, and if the vehicle breaks down, the journey stops. So take care of it not from vanity, but from gratitude. Move because you can. Eat to honor your future self. Rest to renew your strength. Treat your body as a trusted partner in your mission, not as an afterthought. And when you start living with that awareness, something changes. You feel lighter, not just physically, but mentally. You begin each day with energy instead of exhaustion. You stop dragging yourself through life and start driving it. The world looks brighter when you're not weighed down by fatigue and fog. You think more clearly, act more decisively, and engage with life more deeply. Jim Rohn's philosophy was built on harmony: spiritual, emotional, financial, and physical. To neglect one area is to weaken the whole. Balance doesn't mean perfection, it means care. It means paying attention. It means realizing that your body is not a burden. It's your greatest tool for creating and enjoying a meaningful life. So build your energy like you build your wealth, patiently, deliberately, and daily. Celebrate the small improvements. Treat your workouts like appointments with your future. Feed your body with discipline and gratitude. Because when your energy is high, everything in life becomes easier. Your work, your relationships, your learning, your discipline. Energy multiplies ability. Remember this: your body is the house of your potential. Guard it, strengthen it, respect it. Because when you master your energy, you master your life. Jim Rohn often said, "Only by giving are you able to receive more than you already have." Those words carry a wisdom that transcends business, success, or even personal development. They speak to the heart of what it means to live a life of purpose. Giving is not merely about generosity, it's about alignment with the laws of growth and abundance. When you give more than you take, you set into motion a powerful principle that transforms not only what you have, but who you are. True success, Rohn believed, is not measured by accumulation, but by contribution. You can acquire wealth, achieve fame, and accomplish goals, but until you use those things to serve others, they remain incomplete. The act of giving refines you. It softens the ego, deepens gratitude, and reminds you that your talents and resources are not just for keeping, but for sharing. The more you give, the more you grow, because you begin to live beyond yourself. Giving doesn't always mean money. It can mean giving your time, your attention, your encouragement, your wisdom, your effort. Sometimes, the smallest gesture, a kind word, a patient ear, a moment of understanding, can alter someone's entire outlook. Jim Rohn used to remind people, the greatest gift you can give someone is your personal development. Become the kind of person who adds value wherever you go, not by preaching, but by example. When you live with integrity, discipline, and kindness, your presence becomes a gift in itself. Philosophically, giving activates one of the most fundamental laws of life, the law of reciprocity. What you send out into the world, energy, kindness, value, eventually returns to you, often magnified. It's not mystical, it's psychological. People are drawn to those who uplift them, who make them feel seen and appreciated. And over time, those relationships and that goodwill form the true currency of success. Wealth built on contribution always lasts longer than wealth built on consumption. There's also a subtle but powerful truth here. Giving breaks the grip of scarcity. When you withhold your energy, your time, your ideas, it's usually out of fear that there won't be enough. But when you give freely, you prove to yourself that you are operating from abundance. You're declaring, I have enough and I am enough. That mindset shift changes how you see everything. Life stops being a competition and becomes a collaboration. Jim Rohn often compared life to the seasons. There's a time to sow and a time to reap, but the reaping only comes if you've been willing to plant seeds first. Every act of giving is a seed. You might not see the results immediately, but the harvest always comes in ways you can't predict. Sometimes it's in opportunity, sometimes in peace of mind, sometimes in unexpected blessings. But it always returns. And giving isn't just good for the world, it's good for your spirit. Studies now confirm what Rohn taught intuitively, that contribution creates meaning. When you focus on helping others, your own problems shrink. You feel connected, purposeful, alive. Service turns routine into significance. It gives context to your struggles and depth to your success. But here's the key: give with purity, not with expectation. The moment you give to get, you've lost the essence of the act. True giving comes from joy, not obligation, from fullness, not manipulation. You give because it's who you've become, not because you're keeping score. The universe, in its own time and way, takes care of the return. Jim Rohn lived this principle. His entire legacy is proof of it. He shared his ideas, his philosophy, his lessons, not because he had to, but because he wanted to help others rise. And look what happened. Decades later, his words still inspire millions. That's the power of contribution. When you give with sincerity, your influence outlives your presence. So, how can you practice this daily? Start small. Express gratitude. Offer genuine compliments. Mentor someone just beginning their journey. Share what you've learned without fear of losing your edge. Create value in every interaction. Don't ask, what can I get? Ask, what can I give? Make that question your compass and watch how it reshapes your relationships, your work, your entire sense of fulfillment. Because life isn't about how much you keep. It's about how much you contribute. You will be remembered not for what you possessed, but for what you passed on. Every act of kindness, every lesson shared, every person you helped move closer to their potential becomes part of your legacy. Jim Rohn understood that giving isn't just moral, it's practical. It builds trust, deepens influence, and strengthens character. The people who give the most are almost always the ones who receive the most, not because they chase reward, but because they've mastered the art of value. So give freely, give wisely, give joyfully, because in the end, the measure of your life won't be how much you've achieved, but how much you've added. And when you live to give, life will always give back more than you imagined.